Hello everybody, my name is Kara, and today I'm here with the Pineapple book tag, also known as the Psych TV book tag. This tag was created by Morgan, and I will link her original video down below. The reason I decided to do this tag right now is to celebrate the fact that TV networks are currently showing the whole series, I believe. Going through all the seasons and just kind of showing a few episodes every day. But basically, you can finally watch it on TV again after Netflix took it down. I think the channel that they're showing it on is Hallmark Movies and Mysteries, so definitely check it out if you're a fan of the show, or if you just want to find another TV show that's really, really funny, cleverly written, full of great characters and interesting mysteries. If you don't know what Psych is, it's the show about the fake psychic who solves mysteries, and it's fantastic. Question number 1 is Shawn Spencer, a character you would hate to meet in real life, but love on the page. And for that one, I'm going with Peter Kavinsky from To All the Boys You've Loved Before by Jenny Han. Now, I've only read the first book, so I'm going off of that, but Peter is like, he can be such an asshole, basically, and I really have no defensible reasons for liking him, beyond the fact that he's funny and I like his interactions with Laura Jean. I'm a sucker for that whole like fake dating trope. I really like that, and I think that's part of the reason why I like him so much. But honestly, if I had to actually have one conversation with him in real life, I would lose my mind. He would drive me just crazy, and I have no excuse. I have no excuse for loving him, but I do. Number 2 is Gus, your favorite supporting character. One of the ones I remember really liking, even though she wasn't on the page very often, was Ilsa from This Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. Now, Ilsa is one of the monster characters, so the beings who are created when people commit acts of violence or crime. And she's the sister of one of the main characters. And like I said, she doesn't have very much page time, but when she's there, she's so interesting, and I would really love to find out more about her backstory. So I hope when I get to the sequel that I get to find out more about her and just that strange sort of otherworldly quality she has is really, really interesting. Question number 3 is Juliet O'Hara, your favorite strong female character. And one of my absolute favorites is Tiffany Aching from the Tiffany Aching series by Terry Pratchett. This is the first book, The We Free Men. And Tiffany she's special in very ordinary ways. And you guys are probably starting to see a pattern in my videos and favorite books, but I really love characters who are not the chosen one. You know, they're just ordinary people who end up doing extraordinary things because of this basic sense of goodness or justice, or even sometimes they do it for selfish reasons, and I love that. Now, Tiffany starts out as a pretty young girl. I think she's like 11 in this book, but she feels very mature for her age in believable ways because she's grown up on this farm and she's grown up around people who believe that magic is very much a part of their world, whether or not they acknowledge it. And she's just so strong and wonderful and flawed. You know, she makes mistakes, but you always understand why she makes her decisions, and ultimately she does try to do the right thing most of the time, even when she's angry or even when she thinks somebody doesn't deserve it. The climax of this book is just so wonderful for that reason, and I won't give it away, but if you haven't read any Terry Pratchett, which this is the first series I read of his, I highly, highly recommend this series because Tiffany is just such a powerhouse character and I love her. Number 4 is Lassiter, a book or character you started out hating but ended up loving. And for me, that is Wanted by Betsy Shao. This is the sequel to Spelled, and I really enjoyed that first book when I read it. It's a really light and fluffy sort of fairy tale mashup, and it's just funny and a good time, and I really enjoyed it. And then I started reading this book, and I was so lost and confused. I didn't understand what was happening. I couldn't connect to any of the characters. I was basically reading entire pages and like not knowing what was going on or which character was which, and I almost DNF'd this book multiple times. I think I was about halfway through the book and I'm like, it's not getting better. I had read reviews that the ending totally made up for a lot of the book's flaws, but I'm like, okay, how good can the ending really be? Is it really gonna be worth it? So I decided that I would read a couple more chapters, and if it didn't pick up, I would just stop reading it. And I finished this book within a couple hours. Like, it had taken me ages to get through the first chunk of the book, and I read the second half in one night. It ended up being so good, and I can't wait for the third book now. Question number 5 is Chief Vic, a book that challenged you but you ended up enjoying. And for me, that one is Mansfield Park by Jane Austen. Now, I've been a Jane Austen fan for a very long time. I love all of her novels. Except this one, when I first read it. I think I ended up giving it 3 stars the first time I read it. I didn't like the main character. The love interest angle was just really strange. There were just so many things about this book that I didn't enjoy. And, you know, of course, even a mediocre Jane Austen novel is still fantastic, in my opinion. But I wasn't a huge fan of this one, and I didn't really plan on reading it again. Then I had to read it for a Jane Austen class I was taking, so I had to reread this book. And it was so much better the second time around, knowing what to expect and knowing that certain aspects of it were going to be disappointing in a way. That sounds kind of odd, but knowing that I wasn't going to love it actually made me love it. Because Henry Crawford is just like such a fantastically complex character. And he's probably another one who, if I met him in real life, I would hate his guts. But in a book, he's just so interesting and he adds so much to this story. And bottom line is, I am so glad that I had to give this book a second chance. And I think that it's just as good as Austen's other novels. Number 6 is Henry Spencer, your favorite parent-child relationship. Although actually in the show, Henry is not always a good parent. Shawn's childhood looked really awful in a lot of ways. But anyway, my answer for this one is basically the entire family from Cheaper by the Dozen by Frank B. Gilbreth Jr. and Ernestine Gilbreth Carey. This is the movie cover, and the movie is absolutely nothing like the book. But this book is so fun and real and hilarious. It's basically about this family of children whose parents are efficiency experts and all of the like crazy ideas they get about raising their 12 kids from being efficiency experts. And it's hard to make this book sound as fun as it really is. No matter how many people or kids are in your family, you will read parts of this book and be like, oh my god, every family does this. You know what I mean? It's just such a fun story. But there's also a lot of moments of heart and just family, like looking out for each other. Even though this is nonfiction, or I guess kind of a biography, I think this is just such a great example of parents and children's relationships. And let's be honest, there's not a lot of parent figures in fiction, or at least not a lot of good ones. Number 7 is American Duos, a favorite work based on a previous work of literature or pop culture. My answer for this one is a book I have mentioned before, and that is Still Star-Crossed by Melinda Taub. It's sort of an epilogue to the Romeo and Juliet story, which is not by any means my favorite Shakespeare play, and I love this book so much. You absolutely don't have to like Shakespeare to enjoy this, but the characters in this book are great. Benvolio and Rosaline's relationship, like that slow burn from hating each other to being reluctant allies to respecting each other as comrades and friends to like starting to care more about each other, is just so wonderful. Like, this is the kind of relationship that I live for. It's just so good. The plot is really interesting. There's like this mystery element that sort of works in elements from the original play but puts a new spin on it. I just cannot praise this book enough, and it's one of those books that I love so much that I find it hard to talk coherently about. So I'm sorry if none of this made sense, but as somebody who reads a lot of like retellings of fairy tales or stories or classic novels and plays or whatever, this one is one that I still think about constantly, and I reread it pretty frequently. And finally, number 8 is I've Heard It Both Ways, a book you hold an unpopular opinion about. And that is the His Dark Materials series by Philip Pullman. I read that series when I was younger, probably around the target audience, and I didn't like it. I really didn't like it. I didn't feel like the story was that special. I liked certain aspects of it, like the like having the animal companions I really enjoyed, but I didn't really care about the characters. I thought some of the plot and world building was sort of weird. I didn't like the main character's like romantic relationship. It just, a lot of things about that trilogy just didn't work for me, and so I'm not planning on reading the like continuation series that Philip Pullman is coming out with. Okay, you guys, so that was the Pineapple / Psych book tag. This kind of video is a little hard to tag people in because I have no idea who has seen this show, especially because it's been over for a few years now. So I'm just gonna say every single person who sees this video who has seen Psych. Not necessarily the whole show, but like if you enjoyed it and you've kind of seen some episodes here and there, I am tagging you specifically. And if you haven't seen this show, but you're interested in finding another amazing TV show to get caught up on, then do this tag and then go watch the show, because I just love it so much and I would love to talk about this show with people. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you soon with another video, and I hope you love the next book you read. Bye!